Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny Show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accept mean of evangelist messenger and the accept mean of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I just love working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Julia Weigert, and I know I've pronounced that wrong, and I do apologise. But before that, I would like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it really means a lot to both of us for you to join us and connect with like-minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy. And I'm a spiritual guide and healer passionate about helping you reconnect with your divine presence and step into your purpose. Now, through angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, guided meditations, and exploring past and future lives, I support you in healing your past and creating a soul aligned future. Now, my journey has taught me that with the right spiritual tools and guidance, we can all connect with our higher selves, embrace transformation, and live a life full of abundance and fulfillment. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guide meditation or oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Julia, about awakening the ancient body wisdom within us, what she calls the goddess genome, and how we can reclaim our divine gifts such as telepathy, intuition, and conscious creation. Now, Julia is the Sophia Code Carrier, Magdalene Serpent Priestess, and Dragon Earth Grid Steward, devoted to awakening the soul of the feminine. With roots in the corporate world and deep connection to the sacred, she guides women to live in a full alignment with their soul's purpose across work, family, and personal paths. Now, as a sacred site oracle and founder of the Sacred Travel podcast, Julia leads transformist journeys to the Earth's power places where ancient frequencies activate your sovereignty, inner wisdom, and creative embodiment. Her work is an invitation to rise, remember, and root into your divine essence on the land, in your life, and for the world. Now, with testimonials such as the light and kindness within you and your gifts are so unique and truly amazing. Since I met you, I've been so amazed by your powers and gifts, which I knew were many, were back, then still hiding only to manifest to come to the surface in a very short time. You are an amazing healer and light worker, and I treasure your support and healing that you have given to me after my difficult time in sickness. Your visions were so amazing, so comforting. It felt like landing on a feather that carried me on the way to coming back home. I felt so healed and re-energized afterwards. It was very transformative day for me. Your tea ceremony was also a very special gift for me. You're an amazing, powerful woman. Your light will hint support many that need it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Julia is a sacred soul. From the first moment we made contact, her compassion and ability to make one feel at ease is legendary. Before my first healing session with Julia, there was a few issues that had regarding my progress, or as I felt, my lack of progress. I'd also been quite unwell with a lingering cough. We arranged a distance healing session as I live in London. Wow, it was unbelievable. My cough literally disappeared along with my feelings of inadequacy. A specific song from the playlist became my theme tune, giving everything a new meaning. Julia installed confidence and acceptance within myself, but in the most loving way. A beautiful soul indeed with an open heart, a healer, a guide, a friend, and a beloved sister. So, without further delay, hello, Julia, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hi, Ray, and also hi to everyone who's watching this. I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, very, very well. And Precious stopped by to say hi. Hi, Presh. Great to see you here. So, before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Julian and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy. So, Julia, why don't you tell us more about your journey and how we can remember our goddess genome and activate our ancient body technology?
Yeah, thank you. I feel there is a couple of things that I want to speak into. And first of all, um, I feel what is happening right now, or what is awakening right now, is more a remembrance of really the gifts that everybody of us, not just you and me, but literally everybody who's watching, everybody who is listening, like inherently has. And for me, from very early on, like I remember very vivid moments when I was a child, and I just knew things. Like my main clear sense is clear knowing, which also made it, I want to say, like almost like a lifelong journey to really gain trust to why I know and where I know this from, or maybe just like being okay with knowing without having to explain or justify or any of these. And I know this might also be true for many of you that are watching this. So my yeah, big journey of becoming, I would say, was unlearning, relearning, and really like ultimately trusting everything that my body tells me, and ultimately also my soul tells me, my guides tell me, like my higher self tells me that this is true for me and this is the path that has been laid out for me already. And whenever I would venture away from that, trying to approach something with my mind, it's very hard for me, like still today. And I get pushbacks, but I'm also a very stubborn person. I can be. So like I try to really go into that direction. And, all of a sudden, like I can hear them laughing. There's like, why are you doing this to you? Like, stop it. Like, this is not what's meant for you. And so, funny enough, I mean, there was my feels like a past life in corporate where I was very successful, but then at the same time I was going through that, remembering really the priestess path, the rose path, and what it means to like consciously create in every moment of your being while navigating that corporate life. And that was a challenge, because again, like I tried to really box myself into okay, now I have like 10 minutes for a meditation, so now I'm allowing myself to be that spiritual person. And so you put on these different hats for yourself, but it didn't feel good in my body, and it made me very, very sick at a time. And then when I just like fully claimed that divine essence within and allow myself to live from that, like connected to source all the time, that's when my life really started flowing. And that's what I'm now also so passionate to, I want to say initiate, but it's merely, like me being a guide, a steward for, again, like others, remembering that for themselves.
Yeah, beautiful. So when did the rose path come in for you? When did the goddess come in?
Consciously, I guess it's been a good 10 years now for me. And, it's not that I remember like this one aha moment. For me, it's really like kind of like when you have a movie that runs backwards and you have all these moments retrospectively where you're like, oh, I see that now, like from a different perspective with a different level of consciousness. And that might be names, that might be symbols, like even streets where I lived, and the street names, that were connecting me to Avalon in a way, and to the trees of Avalon, and the books that I would read as a child. And only later on, it was really when I would say, like for me, it's very much like connecting with ancient glyphs, with ancient civilizations, with places, that also places would initiate me into certain knowings or certain remembrances, and cathedrals and churches being, one of these places.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have a misconception sometimes about churches and cathedrals. I have a Wiccan background, pagan background, but I've always loved being in churches because most of them were built on sacred sites. So
Yeah.
it's not the building, it's the energy
It's
that exists in the
the Earth vortex.
exactly, and the building just amplifies that energy, and
Yeah.
you can utilize the energy for whatever you want.
It's true. And um, I feel that is a constant unraveling. And so when I was 14, I read the Bible from like front to back, the whole thing, because I just wanted to know what was in there. And also at that time, it didn't really occur to me that there wasn't even like women so much explicitly mentioned, or like in a very different way, right? And so only now that and my parents, it was not that like, my parents were like super religious, not at all. They were very liberal. Like I could do or believe whatever I wanted. But it was only then in the later years now that you come to ask, okay, like what's missing. And again, that was maybe a part that I felt like deep down, but I wasn't even able to grasp it or articulate it because there was no reference point at the time.
No, no, and that's interesting about the no reference points, and how many of us have that no reference point because of society norms and how we're brought up, and those kind of things, and again, this around what I come with, you said that you remembered the books you were reading when you were a child, when you were younger. And I often say to people, if you want to remember your path in this lifetime, look back to what you enjoyed playing with, reading when
Yeah.
you were 6 or 7. And that will give you an idea. You were reading books on Avalon, and that's obviously going to take you towards goddesses.
Yes. And sometimes it takes a while until it clicks. But sometimes I also make jokes because I feel for some people like our guides and archangels and deities, like they really have to work hard to like push us and pull us into where we're supposed to be until these moments of surrender in a way.
Yeah. And talk us through surrender, because it sounds great, it sounds ideal, but in this day and age, it's like, there might be people who go, yeah, brilliant, but surrender,
Mm.
how do I do that with everything that's going on in my life?
Yeah. I feel it's a very big part because, especially in spiritual communities, like it can be all like light and which is nice, but there's also a lot of bypassing and the messy part, and that's also where I feel is really where the dark goddess energy kind of like comes in. Um, Remembrance and consciousness expansion is messy. It can be hard sometimes. It can be painful, and it's like really all through the body. Because also when we look at the sacred geometry, like the energy field of our bodies, whether you take it like with the torus shape or the Merkaba, like there's always that vortex that like goes within and without, right? So it's always the collapsing and the expansion, collapsing and the expansion in these ever unfolding spirals. And what I learned is that um, first, and that's also a reminder for really everybody who is listening to this, you can't miss anything that is meant for you. You simply cannot. Like it's God, the universe, whatever you are calling this bigger force will not allow that. So anything that is meant for you will happen. And you make it easier for the universe, for the energies, for your guides, for your angels, if you just like play along and surrender. And I had to learn it the hard way. And still, sometimes I have to confess, especially like when it comes to Sacred union, like that's really a karmic one for me, for example, where I feel whenever there is something that is where I feel emotions are attached, I have like big attachments. It's hard, but it's also an invitation to like always go inquire deeper and to inquire, because when things like sometimes we have that plan or we have that dynamics, even if we feel that we are these awake and conscious beings, and that might not, or the people around us might not hold the same level of consciousness, you can also really easily fall for the trap of illusion and like the spiritual ego, and put a separation in between you and a loved one that you don't want, but you do. And to kind of like navigate your way out of that is really an art or an alchemy of making the unconscious conscious. And so everything that happens to you in your life is a reflection, is a sacred mirror. And if you realize that as a sacred tool that you can use, it's actually pretty cool. Because like it reflects something back at you and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, okay, it makes me angry. Like, why does it make me angry? And yeah, just like step back a little bit and come from that observer perspective to go inward.
Yeah, good advice there for all of us. And a reminder, that even the greatest spiritual leaders in the world, they still have issues and stuff they need to work through as well, because it's a never ending work that we're doing here. So yes, thank you for that reminder. So activating our goddess DNA, the goddess genome, where did that come from?
Say that again.
Activating the goddess genome. Well, where did that come from?
Where did that come from? So one thing that I've been very fascinated over the past, I would say like, yeah, maybe I think it started when I turned 40. It's like I felt myself stepping into a level of mastery without knowing what that was. I just knew that it was a threshold that I crossed. And it's not to say that you can't access that like younger or older, not at all. Like I'm saying it, this was my personal like activation in a way. And it's all, these activations, initiations for me, it very much like happens on the spot. Also, when I travel to places, and very often I only make sense of it much later in the integration. So when I'm in it, I feel something happening to me, within me, but I can't always like tell what it is. And then it takes a little while to like piece things together. And so yeah, that was connected to my 40th birthday. I was lucky enough to be with a group of women on a pilgrimage in Egypt, and spent that in between the paws of the Sphinx. Yeah, which in itself is just like such a, to me, like Syrian and also Pleiadian portal. And then there was different different connections with sites in the south of France, and mainly really within the teachings or the connection of the Rose lineage with avatars like Mother Mary, like Mary Magdalene, but also Anna as the lineage keeper. And Greece was a big one too for me, where I visited certain sites, and I really felt that my cells and my body like shifted, and there was a higher frequency activated that was very much connected to turning on your light body, like ancient body technology, in the terms of like how they were trained and initiated to use their light body as that garment, as that vehicle, and how within this lineage of star walking priestesses, so to say, like there is things that we hear of, or maybe concepts such as the virgin birth or teleportation, or like when you go to France, you will see in some bomb that Mary Magdalene was lifted by the angels 7 times a day to go like to the top of the mountain. And when you travel to these places and you sit in the energy and connect with what's really, really present, like you feel the frequency in your body shift, and that's, yeah, levitation, and these concepts where we're being told that they exist as some kind of myth, or being approached from science, which is very different. And I'm not judging that at all, because I also feel that it's valid and it needs to be there. But the cracking open of these codings as a remembrance in your body, and you feel, it is possible, it just like lifts any veil of illusion that you possibly had.
Yeah, makes absolute sense, and that feeling is so important. And again, it's something that I think a lot of people have lost, because you're not, as a child, you're taught not to feel, to show emotions, to express. So when you get older, it is hard, and then you get to that point, in your 40s, your 50s, etc., where it's kind of like you don't really care anymore. You're kind of like, no, if I want to go and have a cry today, I'm having a cry today. If I want to eat that chocolate today, I'm going to eat that chocolate today. I'm going to go with my emotions today. So I think it's really good when that actually does happen.
100%. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, the picture you showed us of that I used for your header was Glastonbury. So how did you find coming to Glastonbury?
That is an interesting one, on a personal note, because I feel what I felt in Glastonbury, and there's a couple of other places that I've had that before, where you have these spiritual nodes where almost like timelines and lifetimes converge. And there is I'm going to be like closing my eyes, because I try to like picture and channel a bit of the energy in the moment, where it's like you walk through, and there is, with every turning point, you literally like you choose to access a different timeline, or like lift a veil, or another veil closes, depending on also who is there with you, or like the sequencing and the timing with that you access certain sacred sites that are there. And so what happens in these sites, I feel there is also some sort of a vampirism, if that makes sense. Like there is a lot of people who just like come and want to be in the energy, like consuming it. And if you are very sensitive, you got to be careful, because that might drain you. So it's very important to also have your own discernment, and to like practice energy work for yourself, to protect yourself, and have like certain mechanisms in place to cleanse yourself, to protect yourself. And that's part of also what I call like conscious creation. So there was parts where, like especially in town, that I didn't like at all.
Yep, I know
And
exactly what you mean. And
I see you nodding and
I probably
laughing.
would know exactly where you mean as well.
And the other thing is, there is, whenever I am in these places, or you go to these places, and no matter whether you are with a group or you're on a solo travel, like if you really approach these sacred places with an intention and with a level of reciprocity, like I'm here to give as well, like use me as a tool, as a tuning fork, like for earth, like what needs to happen, what do you need me to hear, what do you need me to see, what do you need me to bring or exchange. It's just pure magic, and you can have a plan, but like you will be guided by the land, and like screw the plan, right?
Yeah, oh yes.
Because things will happen or they won't until they actually happen. And I had such a funny moment there, because I wanted to go to Bridie's Mound. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. Like I was there, but it wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't explain that to someone, and it's like, what do you mean it wasn't there? And I'm like, it wasn't there. And then 2 weeks after, I traveled to Iona, and I had a very pivotal moment at Bridget's well at the Fountain of Youth, where like it collided, and she showed me literally like why I wasn't able to access that spot before. So that was like where the divine sequencing kicks in. Sometimes you just like coming back to the trust and surrender. You just have to trust that whatever like they're showing you or they guiding you, that is also an energetic permission in a way of like what needs to happen, or like the codes that need to unlock.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand exactly what you mean. You know, I spent 20 odd years going up and down to Glastonbury, doing my own work before I took other people down there for retreat. But now that's come to a close as well. It's kind of like there's nothing more I need to give back to Glastonbury, or Glastonbury needs to give back to me. We've completely, worked everything between us now. And I think that was when I was at the White Spring in the Goddess side of it, and I actually connected and remembered that I was one of the original goddesses of the White Spring, and that kind of like when that happened, things, it's like I don't need to, I don't need to come down. I don't even need to bring other people down here now. I do miss the water because the water is absolutely
Yes.
amazing to drink. But I remember one time I was down there, I went for a walk and I came across this beautiful well. Well, not a well, but it was it'd been decorated and there was water running. Never found it again. Even though I went looking, it was like, okay, we're going to show you this, but hey,
I love
we're not
it.
going to show you again. And that's what I love about sacred sites. So anyone who's watching, if you've had any experiences at sacred sites, let us know. It'll be really interesting to hear, whether you're watching this live or the replay.
Yeah.
And if you've got any questions you want to ask, then please feel free to actually ask. So how do you work with women when they're wanting to reconnect and remember?
So there's a couple of different ways. I do hold a local women's circle here in Switzerland, where I'm coming from. Like we meet regularly, and there's a small local community that I have. And there is, like I hold sessions. I, similar to you, am attuned to different Reiki modalities. Along with that, also angelic Reiki, and lately Magdalene Reiki, that I can speak to in a little moment. So there is session work that I do, but what I have to say that I really, really enjoy most doing is really holding containers, whether it's group or one-on-one containers, of where the women can really remember for themselves, and like giving them the spiritual tools so they can walk through their life in a really empowered way. Because it also, I feel it opens so much when you unlock that sense of sovereignty and that sense of self-responsibility also in a way. And what's been becoming very clear for me is that the combination of like taking people taking women to sacred sites and have like the activation, and activation doesn't like have to be a super big thing. It can simply be like you walk or you sit by, we were talking about the water before we started this live, or in a forest by the trees, where the activation happens. And as much as, you know, I'm a Sagittarius sun, so I love wisdom, like I love teaching, I love consuming knowledge, but it's really in that fine balance of there is no teaching that can ever like make up with the felt experience that you have in your body when you know something to be true or not. And so what you just shared about, you know, you having that remembrance of you being one of the original goddesses of the White Spring, like there is, I feel it's like every, you know, sense of like having to explain or having to even comment that, or it just falls away because it just is like, that's
Yeah.
what it is. And that's extremely, extremely powerful.
Yeah, and I think again, you know, you've brought up something really important there, the acceptance, because sometimes we'll experience these things, we'll sense these things, and then we start questioning it and wanting to go into
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
details rather than just going, it happened. I'm surrendering to that happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel, you know, there is certain places. So overall, like I'm very passionate about, yeah, sacred travel or pilgrimage where we approach these places with intention, because to me, I feel the earth is such a big library itself, like especially with the stone consciousness, mineral consciousness, and also the water codes. But then when you have a calling to a site, to a certain place, you can be sure that there is some codes for you, so that there is a resonance of the frequency that is calling you. And so whenever, yeah, you experience that, I would just really encourage you to go whenever you can travel, or if you can't travel, like connect to this place and the frequency of the place through a meditation, or maybe buy some artifacts or a talisman or so, like that connects you and that just really represents the frequency for you, and sit with it and carry it with you, because there is an exchange that will happen. And so it's in, you know, these cracking open of the codes when we come to these places where really also certain things are being unlocked. And I feel like coming back to that goddess genome and this ancient body technology, many of the places of the rose line of the Magdalenes, they hold this consciousness, because when you look at even the story that we are being told about Mary, but then also about Yeshua and Magdalene, like what was it? It was like him being trained and fully turning on his light body to be able to show humanity that we can transcend death with all of that we are given. And that's why also they make such a big fuss about all the the shrouds and, you know, all the artifacts and that are being found, because when you actually like find them and you can decode with the bodily substances what happened, or reconstructed, that would, I mean, yeah, I can just imagine like that it would be really, really cool for everybody to just like, and, you know, just imagine, like give yourself permission to just think that it is possible.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, yeah, think it is possible, and be curious about it. As people know, you know, that's one of my words. Be curious, and you've got nothing to lose by being curious. So, was all this traveling where your podcast came about?
Yes, yes. I was, it was conceived on Iona, actually. And I started it first and foremost just out of fun because it gave me so much joy, and now it's really evolved into a sacred mission.
Yeah. So for anyone that hasn't watched it, just give people an idea of what you do on the podcast, or what you talk about, or what you show, I should say.
Yeah, thank you. It's called the Sacred Travel Podcast. So once a week on a Friday, you'll get fresh information from sites all around the world, and it's a hybrid show where I either tell experiences or about places that I had that I have visited or that I'm interested in, or I also have super interesting guests where we just decode what's available on these different sites, whether it's earth chakras, whether it is stone circles, or simply like patches of land, and how through a conscious lensing, just being in the energy of certain places really changes your being, changes your trajectory of like how you see life.
Yeah, beautiful. So I will put a link to the podcast afterwards, so
Thank
people can
you.
actually check it out. So you mentioned about Magdalene Reiki. Never heard of that.
Yes. Yeah, I feel there are so many things connected to the Magdalene consciousness that are really only coming up now. And when I tune in, it's also really like this conscious going underground, or in another way, like consciously seeding seeds like 2000 years ago for us, the women who are on the planet now, the men, of course, as well, but to reconnect with these codes and to really fully embody them so we can come into this balance again of that Sophia Christ light, and like restore the template of the healthy divine feminine and also the healthy divine masculine. And so I've been introduced to Magdalene Reiki. I think it's been a little over a year ago. And it's been very interesting because again, like it was one of the things where I just knew, like I heard it and I was like, okay, I'm in, like no question, like this is me. And you sign up for it and you don't even know what to expect. And I've done many different Reiki modalities before. And Magdalene Reiki for me was the ultimate homecoming. Like it was such a full permission state of reclaiming my essence of who I am in its full radiance, and like showing up with my gifts and not having to press that in any box or not having to remember any kind of symbols, which I anyways didn't really do. Like I had established kind of like my own modality, but when there's just like this deeper layer of is it actually okay what I'm doing or whatever? And it's such, of course, like it's really that reconnection of that feminine essence, which is the great mother. Like you are cradled in the embrace of the great mother. And also the reconnection to that, I don't want to say lost lineage, but because I really feel that it's coming back, like of Isis, Hathor, like all these priestesses, the wise women, the medicine women. It's got completely different symbols than other Reiki modalities. And it's really also working with the rose, I would say, as an energetic imprint, as a spiral force into how you can understand concepts of time, space, and use them to create your reality every day in the way how it's the most beneficial for you and your field.
Beautiful. That sounds very fascinating. I might just check it out.
Yes.
And now, as I was saying that as you were talking, I'm kind of like getting my own download here of something that
Yeah.
that I could be possibly, yeah. We'll see. So, as you know, I do guided meditations, and I use angel oracle cards. And each week, I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an oracle card for themselves, those watching, or whether the guests would like to do something. So, I'm thinking, Julia, do you have a short Merkaba activation that you could do?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, I love that. Thanks for
Perfect.
asking. Okay, so inviting everyone to close your eyes. And if you're listening to the replay and you're driving, then stop it and come back to that.
Good warning.
So, yeah, closing your eyes and anchoring yourself in with 3 very deep breaths. Pulling the breath all the way from your crown into your root, all along that central channel. And feeling your feet and also your sit bones firmly on the ground. And then I want you to center your attention in the heart space. And within your heart space, we're going to be starting to form the Merkaba, your natural energy field of the heart. So become conscious, become aware of 2 triangles that are encompassing your heart. And one triangle is facing down, and one triangle is facing up. So basically, your heart is framed by a Star of David, is framed by the Sophia Christ consciousness. And take a moment to feel how that downward facing triangle is really pulling the gravitational force, the field, the focus, the focalization downward. And maybe you can already feel it, or you consciously start to just rotate that triangle in a counterclockwise direction. And if at any point your mind wants to jump in, just like see if you can come back to your breath and just feel, just be present with the sensation. You don't need to push or pull anything. Just be present with the sensation. So spinning that triangle that's facing down in a counterclockwise direction. And feeling in your chest, like, what is the sensation around your heart, in your heart center? And then when you got that, you become aware of the upward facing triangle, that masculine phallic energy that is connecting you in with the celestial realms and your star family. And as you become aware of that shape, that triangle, maybe it has a different color, and it starts to spin in a clockwise direction. And again, staying present with your sensation in the heart. And if there is a little nausea or dizziness that comes up, just stay present with your breath as well. You may open your eyes if that is more comfortable for you. Just staying curious what happens. And then try if you can make out both of these triangles, both of the colors, both of the spinning motions, staying present in your heart as that Sophia Christ code unlocks inside, within, and around your heart, unlocks the creatrix, the alchemist, in the coding of your heart coherence and the coding of your DNA. As you broaden and widen and expand the consciousness of your heart, pulling more of that gravitational force from your mind space into your heart space. And then slowly coming to a halt again, placing both of the palms of your hands over your heart, feeling the warmth of your palms, maybe a pulsation, and anchoring in again with 3 deep breaths as your Merkaba has now activated, your heart has remembered, and you may come back anytime that you want to practice expanding your heart coherence again. So when you're ready, becoming aware of your body again, and in your own timing, open your eyes and coming back into our shared space. Thank you.
That was lovely. Anyone who's watching, and you don't have to, because I know it will be public, but if you want to share how that was for you, that would be absolutely amazing. That was lovely. I could really feel my heart expanding, but I really sort of felt like draining from my head, going all the way down. And it's like, ooh, okay, I'm going to stay with this one. So that was really
It's
nice.
very powerful.
Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So as you did that for us, I'm now going to pull you and everyone who's watching a
Yes,
card
thank
to see
you.
what we all need to know. So obviously, when I work with the cards, I do the cards for what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. Because even though I work with past lives, when I take people back to the past, it's to learn from, to experience, to heal, so that it doesn't affect them in the current. When I take people into the future, it's so they can see, know, and understand their future, see the steps they need to take, and come back to the present. So they're not worried about the future. So what does Julia and everyone who's watching this live or the replay need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? What does Julia and everyone who's watching this live replay, what do you want us to know today? So we have got finding sanctuary, opening to your spiritual source. How perfect is that?
Wow, I love it. And the tower, and the
Yeah.
mountains,
And the
and the water.
mountain. Yeah, I know. You couldn't make it up, could you? This is just so much confirmation for you, Julia. You know, with the work you're doing about opening up that connection to source, to the goddess, to the universe, and finding sanctuary and peace within that beautiful energy. And for those of you watching, when you open up to your spiritual energy and you surrender, you find that beautiful sanctuary of peace, where you're not worried about everything that's going on around you, and you can be fully present and fully in the here and now. So I think this is perfect. That it encompasses everything you're offering,
I
Julia.
love it. Thank you so much.
Oh no, it's brilliant. So, Julia, do you have any insights or thoughts or last words of wisdom to leave our viewers?
Mm. Yeah, there's one thing that wants to come through that we haven't talked about, and I just want to mention the term starfire.
Mm.
It is connected to Magdalene Reiki, but it's also like overall connected really to our feminine life-giving essence. In a physical form, it is our blood that contains so much of our DNA, right? So much of the information of the ancestry that we come from, the legacy that we are stepping into, but it's really also that life-giving essence in the blood. With the essence and the encodings of the stars. And so I feel that very much as you just so beautifully spoke, when we remember that and when we can like really levitate up and come from that soul perspective of like what is the evolutionary part that our soul has to fulfill here, or wants to fulfill here, or wants to play with, we can receive very different insights than when we come from the sometimes narrow human perspective. Yet it's so valuable when we can bring this into our human life, so we really live it in alignment with our own truth, but also like with source and with our soul.
Beautiful. Thank you thank you so much for that. And Janeki has said, beautiful card, the power of now. Yeah, absolutely. So I hope everyone you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So if people want to connect with you, Julia, how do they do that? Do you have anything coming up at the moment? Any free gifts to offer to share? How can people contact you?
Yeah, so the easiest is on social media. So my handle is soul underscore wisdom underscore by underscore Julia. I'm gonna show you. You'll be putting it below. So
I'll be putting the links in the comments, so you just need to click on them.
yeah, I love to connect. So yeah, just feel free to drop me a note. I will for sure reply. I'm a total like connector and love creating a network of light. And yeah, I actually do have something coming up starting tomorrow on the Magdalene Feast Day. We are starting with Magdalene Reiki Training 1. So if anybody is very um, very much aligned, just like I was, like, okay, I got to be there, then you can still join us. And I do have an Egypt trip coming up in December that is all about the initiation into the Merkaba grid. So we're going to be connecting a lot with the sites where these ancient body technology codings are present. If that is something that you're interested in. And I do have a free program. It's called 22 Days of Mastering Your Creatrix Powers, where every day you'll receive an email in your inbox with teachings, with spiritual tools, with practices that have helped me, guided me. Also, I'm sharing a lot of like my trusted teachers and things that, yeah, has shaped their way. So we can all like come more and more into this conscious, sovereign state of being and alignment.
Beautiful. I will definitely put those links in the comments for everyone. So again, thank you so much, Julia, for sharing your wisdom. It's been absolutely amazing and a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you to Presh and Janeki for being brave enough to say hello and share some guidance with us. And of course, if you are ready to connect more deeply with your soul's purpose, and if you're feeling the nudge to heal, grow, and align with the life that you were born to live, then I'd love to support you. You can join my Soul Path Discovery Program, which is a transformative journey for those of you ready to clear old patterns, connect with your soul's wisdom, and step forward with clarity and confidence. And you can book a free Soul Path discovery call with me by messaging me direct to explore your path and see if it's the right fit We will be going through past life, future life, angelic Reiki, oracle cards, guided meditations. There's so much that happens during the program. And of course, if you'd like a little free gift designed to help you connect more deeply with the angels and guides, then do check out the link in the comments. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified when the show goes live or I post new guided meditations. It is free, and not just subscribe, like, comment and share, but actually watch, the information that I put out there. But also not what I put out there, but also what my guests put out there. Because every time you like, share, comment, subscribe, watch any of anything that me or my guests put out there, you are helping that message get out to a wider audience, being part of this beautiful web that we're connecting and growing and expanding, peace, love, joy to everyone and everything. And you can be part of that by sharing all the beautiful information that myself and my guests have for you. And I look forward to you joining me same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.